Hey, what's up guys, Sir Emanon here, and welcome to another video. So this is going to be day 1 of Penguin combo theory and testing, post the Burst of Destiny support cards for the Penguin deck that we got revealed to us last night. I am super excited to go ahead and test these out, kind of mess around and see what they're capable of doing. Is this going to push the deck to a competitive level? Not really, at least not by themselves, but I do think it makes the deck a lot more cohesive, it makes the strategy a lot more fun to play, and I think the game plan is a lot more streamlined. So I think all those things are really good benefits for the deck, and if you guys want to go ahead and mess around with the deck and are interested as much as I am, this is the video for you. I will mention with a bit of a caveat that this might be outdated, so be sure to check the upload date of this video because we are potentially due to get more Penguin support in the future. So this artwork of Penguin Brave actually signifies 3 of the Penguins that we just got revealed to us. We have Champion, we have Ninja, and we have the Priest. But we're still missing the Wizard as well as the Monk on the right and left. Obviously, those aren't official, but you get the gist of it. So due to the fact that we could potentially get 2 more main deck Penguin monsters and maybe even more spells and traps, fingers crossed, this can make the deck even better than it is right now. So again, these are just kind of very early stage preliminary combos that I wanted to try out, and you guys seem to be interested, judging by yesterday's video. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So this very first combo here is going to be the basic kind of setup when you have Champion plus any level 3 or lower non-tuner monster. It doesn't even have to be a Penguin necessarily, but just anything that can help you get into Penguin Brave, because that's really what we're just going to be doing here. So we're going to go ahead and set our monster here, which goes and allows us to activate our Champion in hand. So we're going to go and do that. We're going to level modulate to the point where we can actually just make the Penguin Brave. So just simple math here. We're going to decrease by 2, make it a level 3 monster. And then we're going to use the other effect to go ahead and flip our face down monster. Next, we're going to then synchro summon into our copy of Penguin Brave. You saw a glimpse of my extra deck there, kind of just messing around with some stuff. But we're going to go ahead and fire off this Penguin Brave and the No Penguin in sequence. So we're just going to go and bring that No Penguin back. In the case that you didn't draw No Penguin, if you don't have this there, it's fine. It's just that here it's cool because it does chain block from like Ash. So that's not too bad. We're going to grab, generally blind in the matchup, we are going to go for Penguin Soldier since, you know, most of the decks have at least some monsters that we want to bounce. But if we're against a really backer heavy matchup, then we might consider grabbing Ninja instead. Either works though, but we're just gonna go ahead and set our friend right here and then pass. So this is the basic setup. You know, off of the 2 cards we went to +1 technically, so we have 3 of the cards in our hand, which isn't too bad. That can help us kind of stabilize the board a little bit. And we have the Penguin Soldier to help us connect or disrupt our opponent. Now, the problem with this is that, of course, we're not really left with a whole lot of follow-up plays, because we're just kind of, you know, this is kind of the end of where our engine gets us. So I think that it's a pretty good start, but if we were to get future support, I would love for it to kind of help get a bit more recovery. But if you drew things like a Priest, for example, that could kind of help you to actually alleviate that problem to at least some degree. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next combo, which will kind of showcase some more different options. Alright everyone, so for the second set of combos, this is going to be focusing on Royal Penguin's Garden, the very new Searcher, which is a super powerful card because it does help alleviate one of the biggest flaws of the deck previously, which is that we never really got to use Great Emperor Penguin super profitably or efficiently because it is, of course, a tribute monster. But this card helps solve that problem while getting to it at the same time, so it's a perfect card to help showcase what this deck can potentially do with these new playlines unlocked to us. So we're going to, of course, start off with the Garden being activated here. We're not going to Ash our own Garden. We just need another card for us to discard using the second effect of this Garden right here. But we're going to go for our copy of the Great Emperor Penguin, of course, and then we are going to use the second effect to reduce the level of this Great Emperor Penguin in our hand by discarding 1 card afterwards. So now that our Great Emperor Penguin is a handy level 4, we can just go ahead and normal summon him without any tributes, which is fantastic. And speaking of tributing, we're going to go ahead and do that right now, tributing itself to summon out 2 penguins from the deck. So the default combination, I think, due to the fact that there are really no restrictions in terms of levels or, you know, their effects being negated or anything like that, is probably going to be No Penguin and the Glacial Beast Polar Penguin. So if you were to go second, this is a pretty good setup because this allows you to help deal with a card along the way. You can bounce something your opponent controls, and then you can immediately go and do whatever plays you're trying to accomplish. Getting No Penguin into rotation is nice because it is a recurable body, which is generally what you want to see. But we're going to go and synchro these guys off into a copy of Penguin Brave, of course. we can activate the Penguin Brave and then follow that up with a Nopenguin if our opponent chose to hold their Ash for some reason instead of using it on anything before this point. I guess this chain blocks from it, but realistically, it's not going to be as effective of a chain blocking tool as in the last combo, but no big deal. We'll still kind of go for the same sort of options. I'll just go for Ninja for a little bit more variety. So a couple of issues here again. First off, it has the same issues of lacking follow-up plays, which is kind of unfortunate. I think that's just kind of the nature of Penguin Brave setups for the most part. But additionally, I think the other issue is that this combo actually loses to Nibiru harder. So even if you didn't go for Nopenguin, which is an additional summon, you would still have, of course, the Emperor as 1, and then your 2 targets as 2 and 3, the Brave as 4, and then whatever you set as 5. So it's not a big deal. It's not the biggest deal, that is, because you still get to keep your set monster if they do Nibiru you. But the problem is that, of course, now you can't manually trigger whatever Penguin effect you want to via Brave's quick effect. So it is definitely, a lot worse to play into Nibiru like that. Because if your opponent kind of just has free reign over the board, then your Penguin is kind of just sitting there, and it's as if you were to just set this card manually from your hand and pass. So that's not the greatest thing. So actually, I do have an alternate play line that you can do, which is one I would actually recommend over this one if you were to draw just these and nothing else. So we're going to, of course, start off the same way. We're going to go for the Garden here, and then that's going to allow us to grab ourselves the copy of the Great Emperor Penguin, which I'm so happy this card is finally, usable in a more practical sense. But we're going to go and modulate, of course, our Emperor Penguin right here, and then ditch our copy of Ash, or whatever card really is not needed at the time. We're then going to go and normal summon this Great Emperor Penguin, tribute it off, and then we're actually going to do something maybe unexpected. So we're going to go for actually 2 copies of Penguin Soldier. And this might seem a little bit suspect because this is generally the one you want to be summoning off your Penguin Brave, right? Well, that is true, but considering that we are kind of playing in an isolated circumstance, we're kind of just assuming that these are the only combo pieces we have. Otherwise, we're actually able to make a board better than this, which we'll get to a bit later. But if this is the only thing we have, I'd recommend going for this because you can actually just straight up go into Totally Awesome here. And so this is your 4th summon. You won't get Nibiru. You're not going to have to burn your Toad on Nibiru or anything like that. And you can just go ahead and pass from here. And what I'm testing in my build right now is actually the Frog Engine, which I've used for a very long time in Penguins. Like when I brought this deck to Catskill Regionals in 2019, yeah, I've been playing this deck for even longer than that. But when I did bring this deck, I did play the Frog Engine just because it has actually a bit of nice synergy. So we're going to go and bring out our Swap Frog in our opponent's standby phase, and then we're going to use the effect to send something like Runner Toad. You can also send Puny Penguin, or if you do play the 3rd copy of Penguin Soldier, you can send it right here. And that was kind of the initial synergy at the time, was that the frogs can dump Penguin Soldier and Toad adds back Penguin Soldier. But we can do something a little bit different. So even if our entire board gets cleared, we have to use the negation and everything of Toad. Not a big deal. We'll actually use Toad's effect to add back this copy of the Great Emperor Penguin. And since we have Ronin Toadin and Swap Frog in Graveyard, we can actually go and banish the swap for Ronin Toadin and then tribute summon the Great Emperor Penguin on our next turn and just do it all over again. So ideally, we will have the remaining 3 cards in our hand to be defensive cards that will stop our opponent from actually playing in tandem with this Totally Awesome. So potentially up to 4 disruptions. And then we can just go for the Great Emperor Penguin once again. So I mentioned the problem with the last combo was twofold. It was, gonna lose to Nibiru pretty hard and also had no follow-up plays. I think this combo actually solves both of those issues and is the one that I would definitely recommend going for, even though you're not going for Penguin Brave immediately. But if you did want to go for Penguin Brave via the Great Emperor Penguin, fear not, because if you did draw better than just the Garden with any random card, you can actually do quite a bit more, and we will get to that in just a bit. Alrighty, so this 3rd combo here is going to be a bit of a variation of the previous combo, where we're assuming that we're opening a copy of Garden, but also we're going to actually replace our discard outlet with a copy of Nopenguin. And this is really cool because it gets us another body and an extender onto the field, which might not seem like much, but it does allow us to extend quite a bit further and end on a much better board. Now, I will say that this does play into Nibiru quite heavily, so do be cautious. You could just go for the conservative route if you really do not want to lose to Nibiru today, which is, fair enough in certain instances, but let's just showcase what you can do if you do open these 2 cards. So we're going to go and start out with our copy of Garden here. That's going to allow us to add, of course, from deck to hand, our copy of the Great Emperor Penguin. You could go for, I guess, Champion and do the same as combo number 1, but these combos tend to be generally just a lot stronger, of course, because of the Emperor. So we're going to Garden level modulate our Great Emperor Penguin, and then we're going to discard our copy of Nopenguin, turning our Great Emperor into level 4, which we can normal summon now. where they're going to use the effect and actually chain block with the mandatory in-graveyard effect of Nopenguin when a Penguin monster effect is activated, which special summons it back to the field, so this does dodge Ash, which is pretty cool. So we're going to then, off of this Great Emperor Penguin, summon a multitude of different things. You can go for various combinations, but the one that I think would work best here is a copy of Ninja and a copy of Glacial Beast Polar Penguin, and I'll kind of run through the reasons why in just a bit here. So you might be tempted to just straight up go into Penguin Brave, right? I mean, that's what we've been doing, but we're actually going to deviate a little bit and actually go instead for a copy of Crystron Hcabe. You can choose to leave whichever level 3 if you have 2 level 3s here. If you chose to go for a different Penguin besides Ninja, you could just link that off instead. Doesn't really make a humongous difference, but let's just go ahead and do that for the sake of argument. So we're going to actually activate this copy of Hcabe, surprise, surprise, and we just need any tuner that will enable us to go for Penguin Brave. So this is why you could instead go for a copy of Penguin Champion instead of this Polar Penguin off of the Emperor, and then summon the Polar Penguin right here. The reason I'm doing it this way is that Penguin Champion is a pretty valuable card to have in your hand. It's a nice extender, and it's one that allows you to actually make follow-up plays on the next turn for just more copies of Hcabe. So I think that's a card that you want to have max copies of left in your deck, just so you have a higher chance of drawing into it. But, I mean, it's kind of just very, very small optimizations at this point. From here, we can just, of course, predictably synchro off for a copy of Penguin Brave. And then we're going to fire off its effect, which will allow us to set from deck a copy of whichever Penguin we find most appropriate, either Soldier or Ninja. We're going to go for Soldier in this case, and then pass our turn. So this seems pretty similar to the previous combo, but the addition of the Hcabe on the end board here is going to be definitely substantial. So let's say our opponent is going to make some plays here. I love that Edopro has this feature now, by the way. But let's say that they try and, they're playing the best deck. We're playing a mirror match, obviously. You got to expect the mirror matches. So let's assume that our opponent, is going to go through the motions, the same combo line as us, because obviously they watched our combo tutorial video, right? So they're going to go ahead and pitch this Nopenguin, and then they're going to go and null summon the Emperor. They're going to go and activate the effect. And then, funnily enough, this would actually trigger our Nopenguin as well in the mirror match, because it doesn't have to be our own Penguin monster. So, yeah, these are things that I guess you should be aware of in case you run into a mirror match. Yeah, Nopenguin can work on your opponent's Penguin monsters. So just, I guess, be leery of that. That's a pretty interesting kind of interaction there. But we're going to go ahead and fire off this Nopenguin. So that's actually going to ruin our demonstration a little bit, because we just have to wait a tiny bit. But let's just say our opponent is going to do the same thing. But for some reason, let's say they want to use this copy of Penguin Ninja, or let's not do that. Let's say that they want to use this Penguin Ninja for some reason. So let's go ahead and activate our Penguin Brave, of course. If we're not in a Penguin mirror match, this is when the Nopenguin in our graveyard would trigger. So let's go ahead and flip up this copy of Penguin Soldier right here. And then let's activate the Penguin Soldier and then go and banish 2 of our opponent's monsters because we have no Penguin up. Now, let's say opponent tries to go and leave the main phase here. We can actually activate this copy of Hcabe, and we can go for a myriad of different things. So we're going to go and activate, or rather summon, probably my favorite tuner synchro of choice, the Shooting Riser Dragon. There's definitely different options you can go for here. You can go for Desert Locust if you want to rip a card out of your opponent's hand. You can go for Formula Synchron if you want to draw a card. You can go for Crystron Quandax if you want to just have a static level 4. All of those options are fine, but this one I think is pretty nice here. So we're going to go for it, and then we're going to modulate its level by sending a level 3 monster. This is actually a way that I used to send Nopenguin to the graveyard fairly reliably. If you are opening up the garden into the Emperor Penguin, I mean, in this case, we also open the Nopenguin outright, but in a lot of cases, you will have access to this card already. So this card, has a bit less utility, but it's still not a horrible thing to send. What you could do also is send a copy of Swap Frog and then like Anemone it back, so you can see what I'm playing in my deck here. Obviously, we already saw the Swap Frogs earlier, but let's just say, for the sake of the example, we're going to stick with a level 3. So this becomes level 4, and now you can actually go and quick synchro with the Riser Dragon, and you have a couple of options to go for here. So you can actually go for a copy of Trish here. with these two penguins and then get Trish's effect, which is a massive, massive blowout. The problem again is kind of similar to where you don't really have a good follow-up play. So if you want to do the more conservative route, which is a little bit riskier because you don't have as many interruptions, but if you're confident the other cards you drew are good enough to get you there, you actually go for another copy of Penguin Brave, which is actually pretty much going to seal you the game if this whole thing does resolve. So off this Penguin Brave, I would actually recommend getting a copy of a Puny Penguin instead of like another Interruptive Penguin. Reason being is that if you need to, if your opponent somehow manages to still crack through your interruptions, you still can use the Puny Penguin's effect if it gets destroyed by battle, and then set your Penguin Soldier anyways, so you'll still have that deterrent there. But additionally, if it makes it all the way back to your turn, you're going to be in a good spot because you'll be able to draw for a turn, you'll be able to just flip up your Puny Penguin, you can like link it off, and then because we have our Great Emperor in graveyard, we can actually go ahead and target that. We'll have our no penguin coming back. We can just go for a whole bunch of shenanigans. We have our entire board filled up. We can just go for things like, I don't know, we can just go for a big old Boro sword. We can trigger the Great Emperor again. You can see how this gets out of hand very, very, very fast. So yeah, I really do like it. Now, if you did want to, in fact, not have the Glacial Beast Polar Penguin at all in a circulation, say you summon Champion off of the initial Great Emperor Penguin on our first turn, and then you went and summoned Ash off of the Hcabe, and you still have Glacial Beast Polar Penguin in your deck, or you just play multiple copies of Polar Penguin, you can summon it right here and then bounce another card your opponent controls, or you can eliminate it back. There's so many different options. You have a lot of things you can do, and that is very, very exciting. You can even do something like, say, Ninja and Champion. You can go ahead and, I don't know, go and use Ninja's effect. You can go and target itself, and then you can go and use the champion. You can go and flip up this ninja, and then you can go like Ninja effect. You can banish spellless traps your opponent's control. So yeah, this is or bounce. We're not getting our no penguin here, but you get the idea, right? So yeah, this is a lot of stuff you can get, a lot of value you can get out of these cards, and this is what I mean by having follow-up plays as something that's really important. If you just went for like the last combo, say like Guardian plus random discard, and you ended on just, Penguin Brave plus like set Penguin Soldier, and that's all you were able to do, you don't have a way to do anything that's aggressive like this. So I really think it's important that all 5 of us Penguin players out there figure out ways to actually optimize offensive capabilities as well, and I think this is one of the best ways to do that. So we're going to move into our final combo next, which is kind of an amalgamation of all of these, and you can do a lot of really, really cool things with this last one. So see you in just a bit. Alrighty guys, we are here at the 4th and final combo, the most explosive and expansive one of all of them. And if you guys have been enjoying this video up until this point, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you're new here and want to see, more combo tutorials, just more general Yu-Gi-Oh content similar to this. I do enjoy making these videos quite a lot, and it would be greatly appreciated if you did help support me in those ways. But we're going to go ahead and start things off with this final combo. So it's going to be Garden again, plus either Champion or the Great Emperor Penguin. You just search the one that you're missing, and then you have to have a random discard for the Garden. Now, I do know that Garden is the centerpiece of all these combos pretty much besides the first one, and that's kind of just because it's the best card we have access to. We don't have the luxury of being a meta deck with 15 billion starters, so we just kind of have to work with what we got here, trying to alleviate that in my build at least with like Pot of Prosperity to help dig for it. It's not the best solution. Hopefully we get more support cards in the future to kind of mitigate that, but for now we just got to work with what we have. So we're going to start things off with this combo with, of course, the Garden here. And as I mentioned, this is a very, very expansive combo, but it does not lose to Nibiru, which you will find out very shortly. So we're, of course, going to grab our Great Emperor Penguin, Champion, if we already had the Emperor, that is, and then we're going to go for the Garden here. We're going to level modulate the Emperor, and as per usual, just discard our free card, or not free card, but our spare card. We're then going to normal summon our level 4 Emperor Penguin, and then use the effect on the field. That is going to translate into 2 penguins. So we've gone through very different combos, or very many different combos, I should say. So we've gone through things like No Penguin plus the Glacial Beast Polar Penguin. We've gone through things like Glacial Beast plus Ninja. We've gone through Ninja plus Champion. We've gone through Double Soldier. So let's try actually a new variation. So we're going to go for Ninja here, but we're also going to go for a copy of Puny Penguin. So this might seem pretty counterintuitive, but there's a pretty strong reason for this, and I hope that, if the last combo follow-up did not convince you to play Puny Penguin, that this card does, or this combo does, because this is a pretty cool one. Also keep track of the summons here. We're currently on 3 summons. So we're going to activate this effect of the Penguin Ninja on our field. That's going to flip our copy of Puny Penguin face down. And then, of course, because a Matsu is set to our field, now we're just going to go and activate this Champion in our hand. And then we can actually level modulate this to become a level 3 monster, but maybe not for the reason that you're thinking. So right now we're going to go ahead and just flip up this Puny Penguin while we're at it. Not really any point of keeping it face down right now. And you might think that we're going to go for Penguin Brave, but we're actually going to go and play around Nibiru by going for the Gossip Shadow on our 5th summon. So virtual players, you'll remember this, like you'll know this very well. This is pretty straightforward, especially in the previous build with VFD Turbo. But here we go. So now we have a Gossip Shadow before we get to actually commit into our entire play string. So what do we do with this single Puny Penguin? Well, luckily it's a level 1 monster, so we can just go into Link Reaver for free. And then this actually triggers the Puny Penguin since it was sent to the graveyard after being flipped face up, and notably it does not miss timing because even though it's a 1 effect, it is mandatory. So thank you Konami for making this mandatory, otherwise I'd be very sad right here. So we're going to go and actually trigger the effect and bring back the Great Emperor Penguin, which, fun fact, this card is not once per turn. So we're going to go ahead and use this effect again, and our opponent should not Ash us here. I hope they don't Ash us here. But if they did, we could, I guess, go for the Gossip Shadow. I mean, if they have Nibiru and Ash, so be it. This deck is not really the best equipped to deal with 2 hand traps, but we're going to go ahead and resolve this now. So we're going to go kind of for similar stuff as last time. We don't have a Nopenguin yet in rotation, so we definitely want to pick one of these up. And then we can go for whichever tuners of choice, because we are actually going to go for Hcabe again, so we can actually go for either Champion or we can go for the Polar Penguin. Doesn't matter too much. We're going to go and just pick these 2 again for the sake of demonstration. We're then going to go for the Hcabe with the Link Reaver and whatever tuner we had. And then we're going to go and summon a level 3 tuner monster off of this Hcabe. So we're going to go for another copy of Ash right here. So we're then going to go and synchro these off for a copy of Penguin Brave. And then the Penguin Brave effect is going to activate. And we'll also get the Nopenguin. So this is a pretty darn good setup. So this is going to allow us to have literally the same thing as the last combo, but all under the protection of the Bamboozling Gossip Shadow. And if we didn't have to use it, we'll have that as an interruption for next turn. So really good stuff. You already saw kind of the options. We don't have another copy of Nopenguin engraved right now. And there's not really any point in kind of turning these into like a Coral Anemone because we don't really get value off of that. If this was 1500 or less, then that would be pretty spicy, but not really an option for us right now. But yeah, this is kind of just it. So again, we'll have a way to banish / bounce 2 of our opponent's monsters, kind of just depending on sequencing. And we also have a way to go into Hcabe to just go for all the different disruptions we want. We could even go for, if we want to go for like Desert Locusts, for example. Another thing we could do is like synchro that off with the Penguin Soldier. And because we have a Link monster in our grave this time, which we didn't have last time, we can go for Savage here. Unlike the last combo, whereas we'd kind of be stuck with things like Omega or Adamantipated Risen Dragite, for example, for your level 8s. So that's just another option that this combo has that the other ones didn't, and this is pretty neat stuff. So yeah, I hope this is a good demonstration of the potential of what Penguins can bring, and I really do think that depending on the quality of the new support, if we get more support, that this deck can actually become at least Rogue. I don't think it'll be much better than Rogue, just because the cards are natively pretty slow, but I think that these cards do quite a good job at exemplifying the game plan and just the overall strategy that it's trying to accomplish, and I couldn't be happier about it. So guys, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like as well as any thoughts or feedback in the comments. Subscribe for more informative and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you want to, you can follow me on all social media platforms or support me with links in the description as usual. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next video. See you guys.